Hey guys, welcome back to the Breakdown Project. I'm Jason King.
I'm Lance Allen.
I'm Kyle Gridley.
I'm Jay Light.
And I'm Josh Michaels. You thought I was going to say it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, great intro. Guys, we're talking the Rickchurian Mortydate. I did it first time. Thank you, Jason. Let's get into it. What do you say, guys, huh?
Sure.
Let's watch.
Also, Jason watches this on his phone, and it's the most bizarre way to watch something ever. To
Nice
cast it to your
ass nose
TV.
going on, dude.
Hey, Jason, are you playing the janitor?
Oh, wow. Guys, Gridley wrote that down.
Nah,
that
that
was a right.
That janitor's got better skin than Jason does.
So true.
I do like Dan Harmon a lot, and I like watching Harmontown or listening to Harmontown. And Dan Harmon's a huge Minecraft. Like, he's like obsessed with Minecraft. So I think it's pretty funny that they kind of call him out for it.
They're doing like I saw a note in this episode. They're doing like a joke every 30 seconds. They're really hitting it, especially when the president starts talking.
Well, that's the way the show generally is, though.
Yeah, it's
But like
This is not like an outlier. This show is very funny. They pack a lot of jokes onto the page.
I love that they do the portal jokes. Are my favorite.
That's hilarious.
So dark.
a piece one or a regular one is just a great line. It's perfect.
I do like that they find this immediately and then start shitting on the press. Like, it is a dumb job. Which gives it, they've been doing this a lot all season, is they talk about adventures you see off screen. So if they've been here more than, this is what, the second time we've seen the president since he saved him from the giant head?
Yep.
So how many times have they really been back here? Enough to piss him off. What is that, like 10?
11?
Yeah, right?
Maybe the first few times.
It's funny, too, because my favorite joke from that episode was when he was, you thought Rick was turning people into snakes. He'd shoot you with his gun.
By the way, is that drone strikes thing a secret dig at Obama? Have we figured that out? I guarantee
I feel like a lot of this episode they're making fun of Trump in a lot of kind of ways and the government in general.
I think the drone, anything drones Obama, that's his main, that's ego boosting shit is crazy.
Yeah, Rick just blew off America.
One thing I also didn't like, no payoff in the credits from this episode. They've done it 3 times. We didn't see what happened to Walmart Morty.
Yeah,
right?
but that's happening every season.
I know. Or butts.
Like, we're not going to see that.
We're not going to see that.
Just upset, just saying. You know, we saw Lizard. We saw this.
Yeah, well, I think they're realizing...
Dragon or Jaguar.
Yeah, they realize they don't have to give the audience anything they want anymore. So I feel like they're just that good.
Yeah, I think this is a show that, like, for sure they don't care what the audience wants. They're going to do what they want to do, which is, like, dope, which is, like, I like that about them.
Here's another for sure dig at Obama's surveillance state.
You're not going to have fun if you analyze everything. That is a line for the fans.
Yeah. Fuck you, fans.
Who the fuck is that bumpy-faced guy supposed to be?
It's Dick Cheney. It's Dick Cheney. Can't you see Dick Cheney when you see Dick Cheney? I know a Dick Cheney when I see him.
Have you guys ever played Minecraft? I don't understand how it works, really.
Yeah. For how autistic I am, I have not played it.
Failure to answer is a federal felony.
This is like just reminds me of just Trump talking every time. You know what I mean? This entire scene.
Yeah, he's surrounded by generals and an ugly human being that kind of looks like Sebastian Gorka.
He's like a Bannon Gorka mashup. He's like the Brundlefly version of both of those together.
Yeah. Gross.
Something went wrong when they were teleporting him into the animated universe.
Yeah, this is like I don't know, this is the kind of riffing that I feel like evolved through 3 seasons of this show with this play of Rick and Morty where like Rick antagonizes, Morty plays down, but then offers something, some solid good cop back.
Right, which I was saying earlier in the podcast, like it doesn't speak to like what the season was building up to be. It was supposed to, I thought.
Well, what did you think the season was building up to be?
Well, I thought it was all about family, and there was going to be some weird moral maybe at the end of it. Maybe we saw the end of Evil Morty. Maybe we could tie that off.
But but hold on. You think this episode doesn't have anything to do with family?
Well,
the whole point of the episode is the family getting tied back together at the end. This is all just a distraction.
After
right.
This is why this is the emotion. This is why this season is the emotional heart of the show so far.
Okay,
is because the whole thing.
Jay, you got me there.
Yeah,
I
Jay,
did only watch 11 minutes.
Yeah, Jay, you're making quite the case. This is
Yeah.
the best episode of the season.
It's not the best episode of the season.
I just took a big swing. All right, guys. I took a big
swing
and
you
smashed
fucking
in the face,
whiffed.
All right. I didn't finish the episode.
You swung so hard you hit yourself in the head with your bat.
You didn't. You got 20.
And
you got
hit by the
15
pitch.
seconds into 15 minutes into the episode.
Right.
How did you make that confident of an opinion?
He does.
Listen, man, when you feel it, you just go for it, man. Sometimes you swing, sometimes you miss, sometimes you're in the wrong fucking sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, you had a point. I don't know what it was, but you had it.
Yeah,
And
It was a wildly incorrect point.
Wow.
I was so confident.
But it was a point.
Yo,
And then I
but if it
told
would have
him-
hit, I would have had something, right?
I
Yeah.
totally forgot that you only saw the first 15 minutes of it.
All right, fuck you guys. That's a great point. Great point, Jay. You win.
Thank you. Because you know what podcasts are all about is
Yeah.
winning
Yeah.
and destroying your enemies.
So Jason's going to have some real strong points for the first 15 minutes. Then after, he's going to have nothing. That's why he's going really hard right now.
I got front end this bitch. I got to front end all of this.
Yeah. I really like this joke coming up from the president. It's he does Independence Day.
Leading up to this episode, though, I thought that Beth really did get cloned.
Yeah, Beth's a clone. For sure. 100%.
You're right.
I don't know.
She still might be.
Hey, Jay, are you a clone?
I'm not a clone.
Am I a clone? Lance, are you a clone?
I probably
I
am.
probably am.
At
I
least
look
you.
a lot like my dad. A lot.
You're a clone of your father, like an identical clone.
From his
Yeah.
penis, though.
Not the penis. Yeah, this is
Solid.
Great choice.
yeah.
Iconic Obama photo.
Yeah, that's how we're all going to feel when Rick and Morty's off. That's the way
Yeah,
I
they-
feel like
yeah.
it is. Anyone else turned on?
I mean,
No, I think you might be the only person who wants to fuck a cartoon in here.
Hey, I was
Kyle.
thinking about that. I was like, that's a horrible paper cut, dog.
that's a horrible paper
It's
cut.
flat. Everything's flat.
Plus, I mean, as far as cartoon female characters go,
Oh, where you rate her?
Summer's not on the top of my list.
No, Summer's not on anywhere near the top.
on the top of my weird list. But yeah, so for those of you who haven't watched the episode, Jason included, they do hint at her being a clone. Did you get that far into it? I did, yeah. Okay. And they kind of definitively answer, but don't.
That's
at the
No,
same
it's
time.
exactly. Yeah, I don't think they answer it like that on purpose.
That was North Korea.
This is, by the way, just a great little moment seeing the Minecrafted versions of Rick and Morty, because I thought that they had actually traveled to another universe at that point to play Minecraft.
Yeah.
And seeing them take the headsets off was a great little joke, but also a bummer for me.
I like the joke he makes about shrinking here, about how it's like such a trope, like a 50s trope or a 70s trope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the tiny nation is supposed to be North Korea, right? That's the joke to them, I think.
Oh, Kyle,
think
you're
that's-
on to something.
I wrote notes.
Yeah, also I like how elaborate all of their
Stargate.
technology is. The Stargate.
Yeah.
Wait, elaborate? What? He's all catty. You saw that.
Hey, he literally has garbage cans as part of his ship.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Stargate Atlantis?
No.
No.
But it's I've heard it's good, right? I don't know.
No, I liked it a lot.
There's a lot of sci-fi kind of like tropes or kind of like homages that they pay.
Yeah, in this episode especially, I
I
feel
get
like
half of them. I get like maybe a little over half of them.
this is Justin talking to the president.
Lame joke.
Well, they opened up with a Brazilian joke. It was also hacky as shit.
Well, I
don't
liked
know.
we were talking about it this last episode how when he goes, later Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's like, that doesn't make any sense, but I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it.
We're really drowning in peace is that's another great line.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Jay? I will agree that this does feel like they're like delving more into the emotions of the characters.
Right, which I think, that's
Yeah, I'll also agree to that.
that's the
That's a great
way
point.
a natural progression of a TV series kind of has to go like that. Like, look at The Office, right? The first season and the second season were pretty much just world building and getting you acquainted with the characters and the kind of like emotional connections that are going back and forth, but not necessarily diving deep into those. Third season, that's when you start to get into the really, like, you start to understand the characters more. And then what's I think is going to happen in season 4 is we're going to get into some real dark territory here. Even darker.
I hope so. I love when this shit gets dark as
Yeah,
fuck.
I think we're going to get into some very dark, dicey territory come season 4.
9 of The Office.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like, I mean, the ultimate Office episode, if we want to go dark, is the dinner party episode. You know, where they all go and there's trophies being thrown at TVs and
Yeah.
neon lights and marital strife, and that's something you can only do when you've had a couple seasons to really build to figure out like
Exactly.
emotionally where these characters are at, and then you can stop making them bumbling fools all the time. You don't have to worry about making a comedy show all the time.
I definitely think this was like a tester on like how dark they can push people, and
Especially with the president.
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think, and that's the other thing too. This season definitely had the most with Pickle Rick, the most gratuitous violence of the entire show.
Agree.
And even in the Tales from the Citadel episode, they had a lot of
Oh, a lot of dead.
a lot of death.
That
Yeah.
shit was dark as fuck, though.
That
Like,
was
that
super
entire
dark.
episode. Without, I don't know if Jason's gonna ask you
don't-
this.
But
I
it was
don't-
dark in a way that was separated from the rest of the season because it was all taking place completely away from the actual goings on of what's happening in what is this Earth C-137?
Yeah.
His name. Did you guys like that joke of the pirates?
I thought that was hilarious.
I
thought it was hilarious.
I don't know. I don't know if that was a great joke. in my
Man, for
Rick is
someone who
afraid
thought
of
this is the best
nothing.
episode of the season, you sure got some problems with
Yeah, you
this
got
shit.
some- upon your 5th viewing of it, you
Yeah.
seem to really fall.
You know what? I changed my opinion right now.
Yeah.
This is like I would say this is nuts, where she, like kind of like the Matrix, where she figures out she might be a clone or
Yeah.
awake.
I love that Rick's eyes go in opposite directions when he's smoking out of the what is it? The laser hookah?
Some sort of like, yeah,
It's a laser hookah, but I forget what they call it.
Perception pheromones.
Perception pheromones.
Yeah, perhaps perception enhancing pheromones.
Hey Lance, do you smoke perception pheromones?
Yes.
It's a good answer. More from Lance later.
I don't know if Jason asked you this, but what is your favorite episode of this season?
My favorite episode of this, I mean, that's hard to boil down mid watching another episode of the season. I think, oh, God. Oh, I really liked Pickle Rick a lot. I think Pickle Rick was the most fun episode of the season. I really like, I mean, there's, oh, man. I'm going to go
You can
Pickle
think
Rick.
about it if you want.
I got to think about
Alright,
it.
think
Right
about
now,
it.
my immediate answer is Pickle Rick, but I
Okay.
got to think more
So
about
that's gonna
this.
be a question for you, Kyle. So think about it. And
Let it simmer.
This episode is not gonna be your answer.
Let's
I
say.
promise.
Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite and the
Ask
best are
Lance
different.
what's his favorite song of the season.
Yeah. I got to
Alright.
let this one simmer.
Boys to Men.
Ooh, Motown Philly?
Hey.
All right. Did not know this was a peace treaty when I watched it.
Yeah, well, it just looks racist mostly.
How would you check if you were a clone?
I'd start coming on things.
I changed my answer,
Oh,
but we'll get to it in the post show.
okay.
Stay tuned.
Jay's favorite episode, and Kyle's, and something from Lance.
I do like that the government was dumb enough to not include the foresight to have tiny clothes on the ship ready for him.
Small day.
Gargantuans.
Like I called myself funny before I knew.
Calls her presidentress.
Well, that's what she says she is.
Oh,
You
does
would
she?
know that if you'd watched the episode once beforehand, Jason.
Wait, well, we're past. Are we past 15 minutes now?
Guys.
Are we past it?
Yep.
All these takes coming up are going to be real hot, real fresh.
You ever worn a shirt like that, Lance? Like a shirt like that?
Why you pick me?
I don't know. You see, I don't want to wear shirts like that. I only wear hot rock T-shirts. Rick and Morty is being treated like a state, like a nation.
Oh my god, that shirt is so small.
What is the pretty obvious solution to Israel and Palestine in the Rick and Morty universe?
Smoking some.
Laser hookah.
Ah,
That's what it was.
Yeah, dude. Just two-state solution.
Does
It's
it?
like a mind-opening drug.
Jesus Christ, they blot out
The
his
president has a big dick,
huge dong.
and it swings.
How could you tell it was big from that?
Dude, the way they panned out.
Yeah, that blur.
Yeah, that panned.
Woo!
Woo.
Pulled out, you know?
Oh, this is some gratuitous violence if you really like it.
Every episode.
Yeah,
is
it's totally violent.
as fuck. Like the Pickle Rick one is super violent. All of them have been.
What's coming up is like why like Rick and Morty is so great. This joke about how this like dude touches him and he dies for no reason.
Oh shit, that was fucking.
yeah, that's
hilarious.
like that's Rick and Morty. That's why this is like some of the best television out
I think
there.
that was the thing that made me laugh the most.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
he
someone
just fucking
died
touched
for
him
no-
and died instantly.
Yeah.
It was so fucking funny to me.
Also, like the animation's really nice of it too. I will say that Rick is having like a classic grandfather moment, making his grandson get a selfie.
Yeah, that's
classic
that's kind
grandfather.
of true. I didn't think of it like that.
Again, like this is like Morty not even being part of the conversation, which is again like maybe like his problem with Rick.
Why hasn't the Secret Service fired on him yet? He told him to get out a few
What?
times.
Look, they just-
Well, this is where it all happens.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Post
Yep.
15-minute Jason.
Shot through the forehead.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck.
This poor guy who looks like he's in Smash Mouth is shitting his pants right now.
That fat kid got away.
Yeah, that guy's not doing good if he's in Smash Mouth. Yeah,
I don't
see-
know. Smash Mouth to the Secret Service is a definite upgrade. That's a good leg up.
Yeah, but yeah, this is like Rick and Morty, like knowing how great it is. It's like I'm Doctor Who, and if I
Yeah.
watch that, I really respect Rick and Morty.
Well, he's saying at this point he's basically like a god. Like he could do whatever the fuck. He's untouchable.
I do love every chance we've had this season to see into Jerry's sad little life. Now he's watching a sign spinning tutorial video.
Dope. Well, Jerry's so sad that I think he's not even doing that because he got hired to spin signs. I think he just
needs
it's
a
cool.
hobby. Yeah.
He thinks it's real cool.
Season 4, all Jerry.
I think he sees it as like a viable career path for him at this point. That's one of not the saddest things he's been doing, by the way.
But come on, if you're married to a horse surgeon, you don't need to work. Equality, feminism. I like how Jerry doesn't rape her. It's nice.
Oh God.
You wrote those down, dude?
that one I wrote it twice.
See, this is where it gets sad for Jerry too. He describes this very romantic memory, and she's like, "See, I know I'm a clone because I remember that being the most terrible day of my life, or something like
Symphony Orchestra.
that." Yeah.
Oh, I just realized that it's canon that they live in Wisconsin now. This is from
Really?
Milwaukee. It's pretty reasonable.
Is that why they act all wasted all the time? Because Milwaukee beer, Bruins.
There's a lot of there's a lot of alcohol.
That was a lot of
Also
a lot of digging.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
I know about
Brewers.
Milwaukee. Okay. Well, see, like Jerry, like he remembers like her leg moving. He's a really sweet guy, right?
He's super in love with her.
Well, I also like how Rick describes him as this like vacuum that just like sucks people in. Like he's so sad and depressing that just people just fall into his pit. And his pathetic,
Yeah, we all wouldn't know anything about that.
He's this is classic. He's the saddest beta male in existence.
Yeah.
Which really means that he's super dark and manipulative, as we covered in this season.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
You know, Jay, you're right.
I pay attention, guys.
Yeah.
I did my fucking thesis on sitcoms. I understand these things
Holy
to a
shit.
T.
Jerry said Don Cheadle before he started having sex. I think that's perfect. I get hard when I hear Don Cheadle too.
All these
They don't have
modifications.
and they don't have to call a weapon a name. They just say, "Give me the thing." This is great.
It saves time. This is perfect. Would you guys believe America had things like this?
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Donald Trump. That's him in control of all that.
See, this is where the nerd in me was like, they have all these secret weapons. Phoenix person is going to be a weapon that they're going to unleash, and that was my hope for it, and it wasn't.
Phoenix person's still with the Galactic Federation.
I know why now that he had so many body modifications.
I feel like Rick and Morty is so in depth that those kids have names. You know what I mean?
Oh, fun, and just a little flashpoint where they like destroy the children for like 4 frames.
How many times have they killed kids this season? That's
A lot.
Right?
Keeps it past the censors, you know.
Because it's animated children.
Yes.
Oh, that's the stage from the moon landing and the stage of Washington crossing the Delaware.
The Potomac? The Potomac?
Potomac?
No.
Look, I failed 10th grade history. I don't
First,
know.
it's called the
This
Potomac,
is
and
like
also he
this is
crossed
like a
the Delaware.
This is like the chicken and Peter fight.
He's like hammering a place. Rewatch.
From what episode?
Fucking like if I know.
Okay. He wrote these down. He wrote
wrote
these
them
down.
down.
He wrote them down.
On the way over here.
So you was driving it right? That's dangerous as hell, dog.
I almost got pulled over twice. What's the match for?
Just wagering a guess based on what I know about how matches are used in real life.
Either someone took a shit or they're lighting a fire.
See, that's why I just use room freshener spray now. Got to keep less matches on hand.
Less matches.
Lysol or like a Febreze?
I do one a little. It's the same kind that Jason has, but it's a different scent.
That's why I can't own expensive colognes is because whenever I just start using it anyway.
Ocean spray air freshener is not cologne. You know that, right?
Yeah,
I did legitimately almost spray it into my mouth the other day.
Why?
Just because, just was like, this seems like an interesting. I wonder how this tastes,
No.
but it's a bad idea.
No. I once sprayed cologne. Remember Alpine? You guys ever came in those packs when you were a kid? I sprayed Alpine in my mouth.
I never thought about using cologne when I was a kid.
To make like I don't know. It was like seventh grade.
Beth does finally stand up to.
Shit.
Oh, perfect.
It's a girlfriend, right?
Boudica!
Boudica! That's fine.
He was
After
confident
this.
enough to answer it.
Is he gonna get laid?
Who was it?
I don't know.
Is this
Nope.
Jake?
Uh-oh.
Let's
Debt
get back.
Debt collector.
It's perfect.
They use a local number, right?
Yeah, as like an Indian guy, and do you want Cialis?
Also, you hung up after J. Like, that's the first part of your name. Like, that wasn't, like, why didn't you let him finish?
Why? When you know what they want.
Jason hates finishing things. We've already learned that.
From this episode.
From this episode.
15
Yeah, he be
minutes
starting
in.
sex and then be like, get out. Get
You
out.
know,
I don't
that's a
even
real
wanna come.
deep. That's a real deep cut, guys. That's,
All right, so I think this is important for us to pay attention to because it's the argument that Beth is not a clone.
Yeah.
But is she a clone?
That's the thing.
or does she have the ability to just look outside herself? Finally.
I think this is one of those like Inception style
Yeah.
twists where we're only gonna know once Dan Harmon tells us
Well, I don't think
definitively
Dan
what's
Harmon
happening.
decided even.
Yeah, but Christopher Nolan decided whether or not that they were in dreams or reality in Inception. So that's what I'm saying, an Inception style twist. So we gotta know.
Did they ever say at the end if it was a dream, if it was real?
Eventually, they said that it doesn't. That it is.
The top it doesn't stop
Yeah,
spinning.
but that's the thing because you don't know because it cuts away before it could stop spinning.
And it just starts to like wobble, but then it cuts away.
Yeah,
Damn it.
and
But
that's this.
I think this is the same thing, yeah, because you're not going to know. Everything he's saying to
This
Beth
is
is
the
what
top
he would
right
say
now.
to a clone.
Right.
He would say all this stuff. It doesn't matter.
This is one of those things that we're not gonna find out the answer to until another couple seasons down the line.
And maybe not ever.
We're probably gonna we're gonna forget. We're gonna never find out about it until we've forgotten that it is a possibility that Beth is a
Yeah.
clone.
And then you got to rewatch it all over again.
And then you're gonna see crazy Beth, like they went to this earlier this season when they went to the Cronenberg universe
Oh, yeah.
and saw the Farrell family. It's gonna be like that. And Fly Fishing Rick's gonna show up for real and be mad
The
that
real
his
fly
identity got
fishing
stolen.
Rick.
Like in my heart of hearts, like I don't believe that in any universe there's a fly fishing Rick, but I guess that's the point they drive home about Rick and Morty is that anything can happen anytime
true.
because it's infinite. Jerry's coming back with the golf clubs.
Sugar chicken.
Maybe they get to eat real food again and not pills.
Well,
Bringing it all the way back there.
Oh, baby.
it is Jerry's hat. What episode was he wearing that hat in? I feel like I remember.
Well, even they say it right now. They say like it'll be like episode 1, but more.
Which means it's
streamlined.
definitely not going to be like season 1.
He's a 4 all Jerry.
Either that or all. I still maintain that Jerry's one of my favorite characters to watch.
I do like we're
What
gonna,
a way to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's not the end. There's that tag at the end.
Well, yeah.
I do feel like I'm on this podcast because I sound like the most like Mr. Poopy Butthole. Just
Naturally.
my voice.
I think you're on this podcast because you look like bleached Armando Torres. And they needed someone with a similar archetype.
Yeah, someone is getting made fun of, Armando. Your
Yes.
spirit is with
They
us.
needed a punching bag, so they called.
He's gonna be in the post.
Have you got to Mr. Poopy Butthole?
Dude, I saw 5 episodes and I
Okay.
was like, oh yeah, I like the show.
He's one of the characters that you're not gonna want to miss.
Again, calling out the fans.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, they're gonna come back in 2018, right? They're not. Is that date already been released?
They haven't released it
Yeah.
What are
yet.
they waiting for? We need more episodes of Harmon Quest before we need this. Really?
Maybe.
Is that?
Well, we're not gonna get any more episodes of Harmon Quest because CISO R.I.P.
Oh yeah. They shut down.
I wonder why.
You know, ratings, money.
Why
does anything happen
What
in
a
this
crazy
world?
note for them to talk shit on the fans that they are the worst.
They talk
ever.
shit on the fans a lot in this episode.
The whole season.
Yeah.
They go at them the whole
They realize how great they
season.
are, so they have this. They're on this elevated status.
Rick and Morty fans are the worst.
We're the worst. Dan Harmon and Justin are the worst. They're just the worst people liking the worst stuff. That's what I think. It is.
Definitely magnified. I think after taking a big swing earlier, I think you're right, Jay. I think they really tied it in the family stuff. I was very surprised.
After watching the episode,
Yeah.
We don't have to bring that up every 5 seconds, guys. I can have an opinion after I watch it.
True.
I really think that it doesn't rank in the top 3 of this season.
No, and
wouldn't even put it in the top
I agree
3.
on that. I've solidified my top for this season. And it's kind of a 1-2 punch because I think they work really well in tandem. So it's a razor's edge here. But Morty's Mind Blowers, and I forget the name of the episode, but it's the one where they go to the negative land.
Oh, the
The
cleansing.
The toxic
removal?
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that episode was called, and I wish I could remember right now.
Rest
Yeah,
and
Rest and Relaxation.
And
Great 1-2 punch where you really get into the deep, dark parts of Rick and Morty's subjective psyches.
Okay, Kyle, where do you rank this?
No, I'm still number 1. I'm still because I really like what they're telling us rather than what they're showing us. I feel like.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, it's because they're telling me how to feel about the show rather than I feel like they've reached a point in their creativity and them making stuff to where they can go from there is, infinity. Well, that dog is French.
Lance, what'd you think of the episode?
I thought it was hilarious. Everything that I could hear, you guys kept talking. Gosh. No, I thought it was really funny.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
You're so deep. I love you. You're great. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. Lance, where can we find your stuff?
You can find me at Lance Allen Comedy on Instagram, or Lance B. Allen on Twitter, and Lance Allen on Facebook, and on Conan sometimes.
Oh, well, there you go. How about them apples? What about you, Kyle?
At KGrid03, I post once a week on Instagram. They're pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty confident.
Yeah.
How many likes you get on those?
Like 35, dude. 40.
Okay.
It's hot.
How many followers you up to?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
You don't want to know?
My ego is fragile.
Yeah.
He's got like 35 to 40, and
Yeah.
they all
super
like
engaged.
very engaged.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
100%
100%
engagement.
engagement.
Fan
That's killing.
Yeah.
40 followers, like every single.
Yeah, none of them are my parents. It's so nice.
Great.
Man, my mom just started following me on Instagram, and it's just too much. If you're watching this, Mom, because I guarantee you probably will. Why? You don't need Instagram. I love you, but you don't need it. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram at Diet J on Instagram and Twitter, jlightcomedy.com for show dates, jlightcomedy on Facebook, and I have a new podcast called Blockbusting, which you can subscribe to in iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher.
Can I ask you what that's about real quick?
Oh yeah, it's about basically we're shitting on the movies. So me and a guest every week, we spend the first half talking about box office results and movie news from the past week, and then the second half the guest talks about a movie they hate and why.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that does it for us at the Breakdown Project. You can find my stuff right here. I'll post it. Check out the podcast. Jason is up late. Josh, I'm so sad you didn't go with Magic today.
I'm warming up to it, maybe. But as for now, you can just find Instagram _ Josh Michaels. Make sure to follow Chatterbox Comedy on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some magical things in store.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching this season. Hopefully we'll be back next one. All right. Bye.